for ETV and ENCA going forward?
Well, there could well be more dirt, and e-News is going to have to be quite careful about the way it covers it. Under Marcel Golding's control, they put all this information up for us to download about these particular scandals, but there may well be much more, and it may be that in playing a little soft and loose with the rules over time, such as the 24 million rand purchase of Ellie's shares, Golding has some of his own dirty laundry that will be aired. They may settle out of court. I mean, Golding has a huge stake, well over R1 billion in this company. They're going to have to find some way to lower that leverage, get him out of there. SACTU had an opportunity to work with Golding to say, okay, strip out e-News away from Hoskin and get the non-media assets, particularly things like the very profitable gambling operation, out. But they turned it down, and I think at this stage it looks like these are bridges burned. Sometimes in politics there's no permanent friends or enemies, but in these very intense moments where people lose their trust and hate each other's guts, as appears to be the case, that's something we should be aware of. Look, the bigger story remains that our major media sources are broadcast media, SABC and ETV especially, and now the newspapers, with the Sakanjalo Group taking over the Independent, with the Gupta family very involved in both the broadcast news and print media. We do have a huge problem in this country of systematic structural bias towards the government in ways that will allow for these sorts of little minor scandals to be covered. But it's those bigger structural processes in which the society is being brainwashed by the news to think, oh, big infrastructure projects, good for jobs, good for the economy. That's the agenda that's very evident in this full scandal.
It does seem to be a very much an issue that everyone is worried about, the freedom of the press, especially when the whole story about the nuke deal with Russia and that going forward, you know, there needs to be a positive light spun on that from government. So and also with the Protection of Information Bill coming in, I think everyone's a bit cautious and a bit scared at the moment about media freedom, and this kind of story and how it's been breaking and the allegations certainly don't do anything.
Very good. That's a very good set of issues that the society has to mobilize against. I would say the Right to Know movement, righttoknow.org.za, is probably the most important of these social movements. There's a SOS, Save Our Public Broadcasting campaign, and they have had fairly periodic high visibility protests to raise civil society's interests. I do hope that instead of sweetheart unionism, the kind of relations that COSATU unions, some of them have had with the ANC government, we're going to see a little bit more of the spirit of NUMSA, the metal workers, just announcing this week they're breaking away, and they're becoming much more of a watchdog, because I think they quite accurately understand that at stake here are major corporates, international corporates, with local compradors, local allies like your Cyril Ramaphosa's to Lawmen, and the environment and society and equality, all of the values that we all thought we were winning on with the end of apartheid are going to be set back unless society remobilizes. That's a fairly obvious conclusion, and luckily a group like Right to Know, I think, stands ready to start ramping up protests against these kinds of attacks on media freedom.